Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space for heart to heart conversations rooted in faith, discussing mental health, navigating adulthood, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Honesty Circle. It's your host, Sierra Elise. How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing good, and I hope that you remember that God loves you. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about trusting the process. And I know you're probably like, y'all, I'm tired of hearing trust the process, because I am tired of hearing it too, honestly. But I also know it's something that is crucial in the journey of life. But I think an element that I want to talk more about today is not just like what trust the process is, but more how to do it. And I think that's the part that I think a lot of times is missed in the conversation about talking about trusting the process, because that's great advice. But it's like, okay, but what does that practically look like? And I realized that things in the Bible, things that are common, like I guess like advice or thoughts or kind of feedback that people give you, sometimes it gets difficult because it's what does that practically look like? How do I implement this in my life? Like, what are action steps? And so today's episode I really want to utilize as action steps to really share what I utilize to help me stay in the process, stay in the moment, and trust it, instead of like kind of just looking to the end. And you're probably looking at this of like, girl, why do you not have your iPad? You have this notebook. And I'm actually going to tell you the story as to how this came about. So as I'm recording this episode today, I typically get my iPad, and I was looking at it and it had 5% left. And I was like, okay, that's not going to last me. So let me get a notebook to write my notes from the episode in here. And I go to get a notebook, and I happen to pick this one. Because it's the first one I saw. The other one that I saw was like a notebook, but the layout of it wouldn't have given like just clear pages for me to write down. And I picked it up and I looked at it, and and it's funny because the first page is prayers as 25-year-old Sierra. I pray one prayer a day until my next birthday. Prayers for others, prayers for self, prayers for all. Started February 28th, 2024. Y'all want to know how many prayers I wrote in here since today? Look, I wrote it, ended up writing a prayer before I started this episode, which I typically always say a prayer, but this one was different. So I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 since February 28th. And while you're probably like, girl, that means you're not like it in my head at first I was like, oh my gosh, that is crazy. Like, I cannot commit to doing at least one thing, this like write one prayer in here. Not that I don't pray, but this was I wanted to keep track of like prayers. But as I was reading through this, it was funny because something that was a constant thread in every single prayer was me trusting God. The first one, it says, I pray that I continue to trust you in all things. Like other here, it doesn't say trust specifically, but it's like keep my eyes fixed on you. New experiences. Yep, that was a great one. This one here was similarly to trusting the process again. And as I was reading this, I was like, God has a sense of humor. And I might end up reading one of these at the end. That we'll see. But a common theme in this was trusting God. And it was interesting to me because you always know that when you pray something that it always comes a different way than you expect it to, right? And so it's like when I was praying this at the top of this year, what did I think trust the process looked like? I thought trust the process was just to be like vibing a little bit, not vibing, but I thought like I was assuming that my trust was just going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to trust him and like just let that be, and not realizing how when you pray we all know this, right? When you pray for something, God is not going to just like, boom, give it to you every single time. Especially when it comes to something within yourself or like a way you should develop or grow or change and whatever. If I want to trust God more, he going to test me to make me trust him more. And when I tell you that's happening, trust, it is happening. And so now that like looking back from when I was writing this to now an episode where I'm talking about trusting, I think it's just really interesting because the person that wrote that was just like a different version of myself for sure. And it was a version of I'm gonna start crying. It's a version of myself that was definitely broken because I was definitely going through a depressive episode at that time. Wasn't telling anybody. Like I was in a relationship. My significant other didn't even know. I think I told my sister about it a little bit. I think I told probably one friend, but like no one knew. Like on my birthday was quite literally depressed and 25. And I just felt like I was in a place where I was just like, I have no idea like what it is happening. Like I don't see the end. Like I didn't see the light. Like I just like, and I don't know what caused it, honestly. I was just like in a really dark place. And like I said, I didn't, no one knew at all. And so to be in a dark place before a breakup, to then going through a breakup, and y'all, I never told him that. I was fasting through my breakup. So there was like, I was doing no sweets. I was doing no TV. And it was something else I wasn't doing. I think it was like, yeah, sweets and TV. So it's like what things brought me normal comfort, right? Like I love to eat sweets and I love to binge watch TV were things I couldn't do. And so in that, what I have to do? Trust God. And so yeah, I kind of just want to talk like from February 28th, 2024 to now it is October 20th, because I did record this the day before, because I was traveling and whatnot. But so we talked about kind of notes of some things that I've learned along the way and the practicality in all of this and how even now it reminds me. So my first one is being consistent. And I think with that is like just being consistent and showing up for yourself, showing up to the process every day. And that looks different, but I think like the consistency in the trusting, it helps build that muscle. And so every single day, when I say it was like a constant prayer of like, I don't know what's happening, I'm just going to trust you. I'm not going to know what's happening, I'm just going to trust you. And letting that be the constant that was coming forth. And another part of the consistency too was like consistent acts as well. So like for you, if it's the gym, if it's, I think you're able to practice your trust in situations in God, like whatever it looks like. Cause there's some things where it's like you have a known end goal. So like the Honesty Circle rebrand, for an example, that was like a known end goal of like, I knew what I wanted my end kind of goal to be. I knew I was going to come back and do episodes. That's a different level of trust in the process when it's starting to get annoying, hard, and we'll talk about that. But then there's also the trust when it's like, I have no end goal. I have no idea what said end is. And like, I think that's kind of like more talking about the overarching things in life. But it's like being consistent in it. Like every single day staying present, and it's consistently staying in the present. That's how you trust the process, because if you're not consistent in it, a day in which it gets harder to trust, it will be not necessarily easier, but it's gonna be, I guess, like instinctual to like to move forward in the trust, even if it goes against what you actually feel. Kind of like discipline, right? Like when it's like you don't feel like getting up and going to the gym, but guess what? You know that you need to. And so it's just like building that habit, building that muscle. And so that was my first thing that I learned. And it starts a lot of times in the times in which it's the hardest that you have to be consistent. And that's what obviously makes it harder, but I promise it helps. Another one that I kind of wrote down and reflected a lot on is validation from others, and really knowing the difference between getting feedback, because I think feedback from a trusted source is very important, especially in the process of trusting God, because it's nice to have someone to like share your thoughts with, being able to get a trusted, feedback, I guess, or yeah, feedback and advice. But the one thing that you don't want is validation from others. And I think that when I think of this situation specifically, or this one specifically, what came to my mind was validation on your lack of trust, right? Like, I don't need someone to, like, I'm going through a hard time and they're just going to continue to ride with me in that, right? Or they're just going to gas it up and like, yeah, girl, I understand, like, blah, 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 rather than like, check me and be like, you know what, instead of feeding into this, I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to give you advice that is going to hopefully, and if it's coming from a trusted source, I'm going to take it in, to be able to hold on to that in that moment. Because I think that we forget that there is power in unity and power in community, but it's also important about like who is around you, what are they speaking on in you, because I think in those more vulnerable times when it's like it's a hard place to be in, you can't like you can't be in a situation around people who are not going to speak over you in a way that it's going to uplift you. They can't just like validate how you feel. Well, okay, validate how you feel, that's not what I mean. I mean like validate as in like gas it up, right? And not try to give some form of correction, I would say, or just like, hey, have you considered this? Like different perspective, because sometimes we get caught up in our own perspective, and that can lead to our own demise. So that was one thing. Another part is learning along the way, and this one is hard if you don't take time to reflect. And so in the learn along the way, it's something that I've been really intentional in doing. And it's funny because now I'm realizing that, actually right now in this moment, I'm realizing that although I stopped writing the prayers in here, I did start doing videos and kind of talking to myself and talking to God about different things. And so it's nice to have that as something I can reflect on and look back at, because when I tell you, God will bring you back to things when it needs to come back to you. Like this, for example, right? Like I didn't really need to read any of these prayers until right now when I'm about to do an episode about trusting the process, and I'm actively seeing how what happened months ago at this point, at the top of the year, and now almost at the end of the year, the difference 8 months ago, literally 8 months ago, a completely different. And so I think that's also why like the learning along the way is when you really keep documentation of what is happening and what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. So that way each and every day, it can be a week from now, you'll look back and maybe like, last week, oh, I felt completely different than I do right now. I'm seeing the progress. I'm seeing the shifting. I'm seeing the changing. I'm seeing it larger because I was able to like really reflect along the way. But that takes time to be, like I said, it takes time to reflect. Like, in reflection looks different. Like, not everyone is going to write. Not everyone's going to make a video. I also do voice memos. But there's a lot of different ways, but it's important just to reflect throughout this journey, because if you don't take time to reflect, you will be so focused. You'll never take a second, and not looking back in a way where it's like reminiscent. I'm like, oh, I want to go back to that person who I was. Like, I'm looking at this. I don't want to go back to this person. I do not want to go back to the person I was on February 28th. I don't, because I was down awful. I mean, I know there's going to be other hard times in my life, but like, I don't want to be back down like that. And so, yeah. And so it's looking back to see the progress, to see like, oh my gosh, I felt every day I didn't see the progress. I didn't see the progress at all. But now I'm taking a second to look back, and it's like, wow, that little, when I didn't think I was going to be able to run a mile, I didn't run the mile. I walked it. I might have crawled the mile. But guess what? I look back and I'm like, listen, at least I made some progress. I might have some scrapes on my knees. I might, not be making as fast of progress as I want. But at least when I look back, I'm seeing something, and that's encouraging. When you're able to see like the fruits of your consistency, the fruits of your staying in it, like it's rewarding. And that's a part of it about learning along the way. This other part is, and this is one of my friends gave me this piece of advice. Shout out to the person who knows this person said it to me. It says not moving the goalpost. And this one specifically was more pertaining to the Honesty Circle and the rebrand. And when I was making the logo, it was like I was looking at it, I liked it, look back at it again, don't like it, change it. Look back at, like it, put it down, look back at, change it again. I'm change. And I was told to like stop moving the goalposts. And I'm realizing that's something that I'm always doing. And I think a lot of people do. It's not just me, right? Like it's the idea of like, I prayed for where I am right now, and now I'm praying for somewhere else instead of being content where I am right now. And that is something that I also been trying to be more intentional about too, where it's like, stop moving the goalposts. I used to pray for this job right now. Is it stressing me out sometimes? Yes. Do I like travel season all the time? No. But at the same time, I was praying that I was going to get a job to leave my last job. So it's like, I can't keep in this constant state of next. And that you just are never going to be satisfied with, you're never going to be satisfied. And so, if once you put that goalpost up, keep it there, hit that goal, and then set the next goal. And don't move it and then feel that you didn't accomplish that goal, because you are accomplishing what the goals that you might have or the milestones that you might want to accomplish. Like, don't get so caught up in just the super large goal down the line. Celebrate the milestones along the way that you knew were going to be important to you. And yeah, celebrate yourself too, y'all. We got to celebrate ourselves. And I know it kind of goes against many things, but sometimes you got to celebrate yourself for making it, for showing up, for taking the step, for, those little things. Like, you have to celebrate yourself, because I promise, like, we don't get these days back, y'all. And you want to make sure that you were content and happy and joyful in the time. Last piece of I want to say before I think I'm going to try to read one of these. But last thing I want to say too is finding the joy in the process. That's how you continuously trust when it's hard, right? Like when I was doing the rebrand, and even now as I'm working on some new endeavors, like I'm leaning into it. And I'm finding joy in the small things. I'm counting my blessings in the small things, right? Like when I was learning Adobe, right? Oh my gosh, it was so hard, y'all. It was so hard. It was so hard. But like when I finally remembered, okay, now I remember Control Z is to undo, right? And that's such a small thing, but it's a win. It's a small thing that I can acknowledge of like, wow, I didn't know that before, and I know it now. And so I'm going to find joy in that small thing. And that small thing that might not be big to anybody else, but it's my thing and I'm happy for it. And that's when you also can't seek validation from other people, because they might not celebrate that small thing that is exciting for you. Also, if you're listening to this is the Honesty Circle's 50th episode that I've ever recorded. So that's a milestone for me that I'm about to be geeked over. And after I record this and I post it and it's uploaded, I'm going to be celebrating myself. And I'm celebrating myself, which it might not be a big thing to anybody else, but I know that when I started this, I was nervous, and when I came back, I was nervous, and here I am doing a 50th episode. That's crazy, right? So just stay in the process, y'all. Stay in it. And when you're trusting, I hope that you heard something that you can take with you today in your process. And I pray that you genuinely stay in it stay in the process and find the moments to reflect and find the moments of joy, find the small things of joy, and receive the feedback that you need from certain people, and not seeking validation from other people, and being consistent, and then not move the goalposts. So that's it. And I'm going to try to read one of these and kind of see where I was at the time. Dear Lord, today is day 1 of my fast. I've never fasted in a time of depression. Lord, I'm feeling defeated yet unstoppable. My intention in this fast is to focus on you, not what I see or not what I imagine, but you and you alone. Lord, Lord, you know I'm a visual person, and I'm having a hard time putting my focus on what my mind can't see or create an image of while I'm praying to you right now. Lord, help me. I want to put my focus on you. I want to fix my eyes on you, and not useless things. Lord, you are so all-consuming, all-powerful. Thank you for this season because it is growing and transforming me. Love you. Amen. And look at us now. Look at us now. Look at me now. I am learning and growing and transforming. This is transforming me. It did transform me. I'm a new person, and a better person. Better. And yeah. So that's it for this week's episode. We can do C's 2 cents. C's 2 cents is I want you every day this week to either write in your journal, do a video recording, or do a voice memo so that way you can keep track of the small wins, challenges, and things that you faced this week. And hopefully, I'm going to try to do it too, honestly. And hopefully by the end of this week, we'll look back at it and be like, wow, look at just a week of the progress that was made. Or just like the transformation that happened from day to day. So that's my 2 cents. You can take it or leave it. But thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. It's definitely a little bit different than I expected it to be, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And if you like anything that you heard, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at The Honesty Circle with an underscore at the end. That's it for this week's episode, and go conquer your week.